So financial institutions or any institution, they're going to do what they think is best for them. And unfortunately, as it stands right now, not just in Kenya, but across the continent, financial institutions perceive agriculture to be extremely risky, even though the economies in the region and most countries across the continent are so heavily dependent on agriculture. So I would say it's less about, creating products around the farmer's decision logic, because that would potentially mean that the financial institutions are not keeping their own best interests at heart, but to try to close the gap between the farmer's decision logic and the financial institutions' risk-driven approach, right? And so one of the things that I remember hearing from a banker that has really stuck with me is that bankers don't understand farming, or they understand it very much at a distance. They understand it very conceptually, but they really struggle to integrate farming or agriculture into their decision making within the financial institution. So some of the ways that they've tried to address that is by bringing in, agronomists onto the team, but even that is not a silver bullet. In some cases, they'll bring in agronomists, but these are people who kind of deeply understand farming and maybe have been farmers themselves, but they're having trouble translating, the everyday farm practices into an investment decision that the bank needs to make. And so that banker actually had the perspective that, you bring in the agronomist to work alongside the bankers so that the agronomist is not driving the decision making, the financial decision making, but is more involved in helping to understand or helping to contextualize the financial decision making so that it can work for a farming kind of use case. So that's been an interesting insight, and once I heard it, I've kind of observed other financial institutions to see how they think about it. And some of them, they have succeeded with agronomists on their team, some of them, or making the financial decisions, and some of them are using the agronomists alongside. But maybe the last thing I'll say about that question, so again, trying to close the gap between the farmer decision logic and the financial institutions. And I think part of it is that a lot of financial institutions, maybe especially when it comes to farming, they're not taking enough of a user-centric or customer-centric view, because they're applying, the same kinds of products or the same ways of delivering their financial decisions for farming or for agriculture, and in a lot of cases it just doesn't work. And so that's kind of the reality, and part of it is helping them to close the gap in their understanding so that over time, the products and the way that they engage with farming can be a lot more relevant for the customers that they're trying to serve.